To scale a business is exciting, yet it's very dangerous. And people don't realize that. A lot of businesses can grow too quick without having the fundamentals in place to be able to cater for that growth. So what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, you run a tech business and you're about to land a deal with an enterprise business such as Medibank or Bupa, for example. And I can talk to this because I've gone through this process. Say, for example, you're about to land that deal, but you don't have anyone to manage that deal and how you roll out that deal. So it's one thing to do a deal. It's another thing to ensure that the rollout of that deal is done in a way that actually brings you results into the business. So what you're having to do is then hire people, right? But if you're hiring too late, then you're in the danger of that deal not going through well enough or collapsing on you, if that makes sense. If you hire too early, you spend too much money on hiring those people before knowing you're going to get that deal. So when we talk about fundamentals, I talk about setting up the structures to allow you to be able to scale before you scale. So if you own a beauty brand, for example, you might want to make sure that logistically, or if you own a product brand as such, right? Physical product brand, you want to make sure that your logistics are refined. You want to make sure that your microeconomics and your business is profitable before you scale, which then in turn leaks money in the business, right? You want to make sure that you're able to ship things in the right manner when you've just done a deal for 100,000 units, which you've never been able to deliver before, right? So what I'm trying to say is, to be able to scale, you need to make sure your fundamentals and your foundations are set. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to grow too fast and then essentially collapse because you just can't cope with that growth. And you see companies do that over and over again, where they have this like exciting organic growth, which they didn't even plan for. And then they're like, we can't keep up with this. They collapse. Or companies that have raised money recently, for example, talking about 2023, 12 months ago, you look at companies raising money at absolute crazy valuations that I've never heard of, right? So they've brought all this investor money into the business, spent all this investor money in the business, not being profitable, and now having to raise money again. And they can't do it because their business is not a profitable business. It's leaking money, which means that if they raise money now with inflation up at the roof, with staffing costs going crazy, with all this kind of stuff, they'll see themselves in 6 to 12 months, because they're losing too much money, either insolvent or going under. So I think having the lens of, number one, keeping profitability now is so important going into 2023 with the whole macroeconomics and looking at what's happening around the world. And number two is being able to set the foundations to come out once the bear market's out much stronger, right? I think it's stuff that we really need to start talking about. And you're seeing large companies around the world actually having to get rid of like 17 to 20% of their workforce, right? Which is not a comfortable thing. So if, let's say you're a young business now, how can you keep your business as lean as possible and get the best optimal results in that business so that you're not having to let staff go, for example? So there's a lot to think about going into 2023, but I think it's very exciting times because we'll see some very exciting companies come out of this, and we're seeing a shift in the world, even just around finances, like how there's digital currency coming out. You look at historical data, you can really understand where we're going based on that.